So we got one more preseason game left tomorrow night versus the 49ers. Then comes the big decisions from the top. Who's staying? Who's going? According to it right now, the Raiders look like they have roughly around 90 players. They got to get down to 53. That's 37 that have to go, minus injuries and such. And then you have the practice squad guys and guys coming from other teams. Luckily, the Raiders have waiver wire number uno, so that's a big plus. Tonight, we're making those tough decisions ourselves as we predict the Raiders' 53-man roster. I'm Eric the Clueless Sports Dad. That's Raider Greg. What's up, Greg?
What's up? What's up?
So, I've got some surprises. Not really some surprises. For some people, might not think. Some guys that I'm going to call them my 5 toughest cuts / I think one of them could be trade bait per se. But what we're going to do now is we're going to use a website that I came across called Predict the 53. I used it a little bit before, just messing around. So let me get that on the screen here for everybody to check out. Boom. You see that, Greg?
I got you.
Sweet. So, and make sure we get it a little bit bigger. Oh, hang on one second. There we go. Let's try to make it a little bit bigger for our fans out there. There we go. All right. So we're going to go down and we're going to basically just kind of guess with each other on who we think, debate a little bit about it over the next half hour or so, and then just kind of go through and see who our biggest surprises are. And at the end, we will discuss the 5 that I think are the biggest or the toughest cuts for me personally, but most people might be like, oh, they didn't get a good enough opportunity or not. So with that being said, quarterbacks, there's the obvious, most likely Kirk and Fernando make the team.
Yeah.
Now here's where I think we might here's where we might get in a little bit of a debate. I think the Raiders hold on to 3 quarterbacks with Aidan O'Connell.
Yeah, I disagree.
How do you think?
Okay. I was on the same website for a long time today and trying to pick the 53-man roster. When I initially started, because obviously the quarterbacks are at the top, I went through, I checked all 3 guys. But then when I got to the DBs and I got to the D linemen, it was a tough decision. And then I started reevaluating everybody else that I'd kept. I went back to Aidan O'Connell and I started thinking, he's not the right now quarterback. That's Kirk Cousins. He's not the future quarterback. That's obviously Mendoza. So I ended up letting Aidan O'Connell go. And with the idea that, if worst case scenario happens, and Kirk Cousins sustains some kind of injury and then Mendoza can't play as well for some reason, then I think our 4th string guy, he's the guy that's going to play the majority of the reps against the Niners, the way it sounds, him and O'Connell. I mean, as long as he looks serviceable, I'd probably stash him on the practice squad, and in an emergency situation, you pull him off and you suit him up and whap him on the butt and say, good luck, young fella. But, I think if Cousins and Mendoza can't play, then you're in a pretty tough spot either way. So the other thing to consider, again, is $3.7 million. If the Raiders cut him, release him, they're not out anything. They just saved 3.7. So of everybody on the team, that's the biggest savings if they let him walk.
So you don't see him as possibly being a trade candidate?
I don't know why.
Somewhere.
Like, let's say a team like the Minnesota Vikings, they go into their cuts and they release J.J. McCarthy, which is a real possibility at this point. So they're going to start Kyler on 1 year. J.J.'s out the door. Their backup's going to be Carson Wentz. Now, would they possibly give up like a 6th or 7th conditional round pick? Yeah, maybe. But at that point, I kind of doubt it. Why would a team trade for O'Connell when odds are the Raiders might end up releasing him anyway?
Yeah, true. But they may not. They may keep him until somebody needs one.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at
you could, but 3.7 for a guy who's like, give me a scenario where he sees extensive playing time this season. I think the resources can be better utilized elsewhere once you start going through the rest of the roster. I bet once we get down to specifically the D tackles and the cornerbacks, you might rethink wanting to keep Aidan O'Connell on the roster just because that spot's going to be valuable.
Okay, so for now, we're just going to leave him. Oops, I don't know why I did that. We're going to go ahead and add him as just a cut. So right now, you got 2 quarterbacks on the roster.
Yep.
Okay.
With the idea that Mr. Fourth String there, I can't quite. What's his name again?
Jacob Clark.
Jacob Clark. Yeah. Odds are, as long as he shows that he's serviceable in this preseason game, which, if he's still in camp at this point, they haven't signed another guy. Like I said, stash him on the practice squad, and in a pinch, you need somebody. There he is. So
awesome. So let's get moving along because we got a lot to talk about still.
Yeah. Yep.
So, all right. Obviously, you got Ashton Jeanty. So he's our guy.
Yep.
He's our featured guy. And you got Mike Washington, who's the backup, obviously. Now is where it gets a little bit funky, and I don't know if you want to come back to this or not, but for me, depending on what happens with Aidan, it's going to be, I think you got Chris Collier's on IR. I think Hemby makes the practice squad. You're not a Laube fan, but I think I like Laube, but I know D.O., I'm going to call him, 32 over here, Dare, yeah. Some of these names. We apologize. We just cannot. You haven't been on the Raiders long enough for us to hear your name. So I loved what he did in his limited time with the Raiders so far. There's a few guys like that. But if I had to guess right now, just because of special teams play and the way things are and how much he's been part of the organization offseason program, I'm going Dylan Laube. And some people, I will say, have picked 4 running backs for the simple fact of the uncertainty of Ashton Jeanty. So I have seen that. So we know Connor. Oh, whoops. What did I just do? I accidentally hit cut. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think obviously Connor's making the team. Jeanty, let's assume Jeanty's going to be 100% healthy week 1. If that's the case, then I don't see. If it were me, I would not keep Laube because Ogunlawale or D.O., whatever you want. He's going to provide more on special teams, whether it's covering kicks and punts or it's actually returning kickoffs. I think that's really where he's got a leg up on Laube. And you know what? The other thing, too, if you've watched regular season games of the Raiders like I haven't missed a game since it's probably been 03. I haven't missed one snap. The regular season action I've seen of Laube, he's put the ball on the ground, and you can't have that. So,
100%.
I've seen enough of Laube. I feel like I know what he is, and the ceiling's fairly low. I'd rather go with Ogunlawale.
Yeah. All right, moving on to this will probably be a debated area, just because there's so many unknown here. But I think we could say Trey Tucker, Naylor, obviously Jack Besh, Benson's definitely making it. This is going to be one of those things: is how many guys are they going to keep? Mm-hmm. There's a couple here. I think they're still going to keep Thornton. I don't know what his injury scenario case is right now. So that's going to be up in the air too. But let's say if these guys were all healthy right now, you got 5 guys right there. Do you keep a 6th guy?
I think so.
If that's 6, yeah, I think so too. And looking at this, one of my toughest cuts out of all of this, I really have 2. And let me just go back to look at my notes here. Yeah, I really have 2 guys that I really wish would make the team. And that's E.J. Williams, but before him is Chase Roberts. Now, I know I think he didn't practice today. I read on X. I was busy doing some stuff out on the homestead today. So I believe that Chase Roberts needs more opportunities, but every time he's had opportunities, he's caught the ball. He reminds me of a bigger Jack Besh, basically. And then you have Jackson over here, number 4, the stud. And he's another guy that's out there. But my 2 guys, the 2 rookies that I thought would and really was hoping would make this roster was Chase Roberts and EJ Williams. So if they're going to keep 6th, who out of this do you say would be your 6th?
Well,
because I've seen some. Go ahead.
Well, this is where, maybe I'm going to differ from you and Raider Nation a little bit because, maybe we're jumping the gun here a little bit because we do still have a 3rd preseason game to play. And if one of these guys jumps off the screen and really, separates themselves, maybe it's a different conversation. But for my money, I'm going to stash those rookies on the practice squad, and I'm going to keep Tompkins because he's got more experience. He can return kicks and punts. And then you start talking about coverage teams and gunners and things like that. I think he can do that as well. So just using my eyeball test, when I watch the guys on the field, Tompkins looks like he's the best playmaker. Like he looks like kind of the proverbial spark plug, if you will. When he gets the ball on his hands, it just looks like much like Benson. If a DB misses a tackle on him, he could house it. So for that reason, I would keep Tompkins.
And I don't hate that at all either. He's up there with, him and Jackson to me are like either one, you flip a coin, and for me, and that could be your 6th guy, and I wouldn't hate it at all. If it came out and this was our 6 wide receivers. But here's the other thing too. Like you said, we got one more preseason game, and then we got a few days before the cuts because the cuts aren't until Sunday. That's when everybody has to have their rosters down to 53. We got the waiver. We're number 1 on waiver wire. We could make a trade even. That could be a possibility still out there. A lot of Raider Nation thinks that might be something to be had. Even we saw what's going on with this guy, this defensive tackle with the Bears. I can't even remember his last name. But then I was looking at it, and some of the dudes I follow, like Graf and Mike Machiavelli, those type of dudes that I follow that I trust a lot within Raider Nation and knowing what's going on. They're like, dude, from what I've seen, he's pretty much garbage. So I don't know if that's the way to go. I'm like, oh shit, like, okay. So I don't know. I'd have to hit those guys up, but I'm not putting words in their mouth by any means, but just big shout out to those guys because they usually are ones to know that kind of stuff. But yeah, we could see a wide receiver trade, a guy picked up from another team. Like, maybe these are the 5. Take Tompkins off. Those are the 5 right there because those look like the solid 5. And then maybe we get a 6 from a different team. So, but all right, we'll throw Tompkins in.
The only other thing I'd add about the wide receivers is don't assume that Dante Thornton Jr. is going to make the team because, he hasn't shown anything. He hasn't played in a preseason game. I don't think he's got a reception yet, does he? And he hasn't hardly practiced. I know he was a 4th-round pick last year, but to this point, he hasn't shown enough. So if Kubiak is serious about the wide receivers and how they took a step back last week and it's got to show something. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Kubiak said Thornton needed to play in a preseason game. I think he said something along those lines in a presser. So at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they let Thornton walk, but I know Spytech loves those super athletic guys, and Thornton definitely falls into that category. So I wouldn't be surprised either way with him.
Yeah, and if he's banged up, short-term IR right there.
Yeah. Yep. That could be a thing, too.
All right. Is Brock Bowers going to make the team?
Oh, I don't know.
Man, I was opening up those top packs cards, and I was really hoping to get his Kings card. I was like, man, come on, that would be epic. But anyway, him, Michael Mayer, obviously, I don't see there's no way they could trade Michael Mayer. This offseason, I thought about it. I was like, yeah, I could see that happening, but after seeing what Clint Kubiak's offense is going to look like, I'm like, there's absolutely no way. His blocking ability, the way he catches the ball, dude made that dude miss for the touchdown like it was nothing. Like easy, just boom, got him. Got him, he needs some milk. All right, so I think Ian Thomas is still the dude there, that veteran guy. I still think he makes really good plays. I'm a dude that thinks they need to keep 4 guys because of the way this offense is set up. And if you're talking about, because we just talked about the wide receivers, if you think about it, Brock Bowers is more of your tight end / wide receiver. So technically he'd be up here.
Yep.
So with that being said, I still think for depth purposes, they should keep a 4th guy. And if the 4th guy is on this roster, I'm taking 85. Another guy I can't say, but I would take Albert, in my opinion. So what do you think about the tight end spot?
Yeah. No, I mean, if you're going to keep a 4th, which in my 53 I didn't, but it makes sense to. It kind of depends on how they feel about the wide receivers, right? Like you talked about. Yeah, Runyon has been hurt, so he's another guy that is a potential IR candidate, right? But yeah, Albert's probably the leader of the rest of the pack, if you will.
Yeah. Also, one other thing, too. I think Patrick Gurd, they got him here as listed as a tight end. I think he's the backup fullback, too. But I'm not 100% sure. That's where he wears 45. But
well, I mean, if that's the case, I mean,
I could be wrong.
That's very valuable. Like if you've got a 4-string tight end that can also play backup, because I'm going to get to that with Zuhn and why that makes him, that's why it gives you a little bit extra, variable as far as making the team. Obviously, Zuhn isn't in that category, but I mean, when you're talking about a 4th-string tight end, can he play fullback? Can he be a backup long snapper? Can he be the personal protector for the punter? All those things are relative. They all matter. So, I mean, that's something
absolutely.
that the coaching staff has to determine, I guess.
All right. So speeding right along, we're getting into the offensive lineman now. So obviously you got Tyler Lindenbaum there. He's definitely going to be our stud center. Now they got Jordan Meredith here at center still. I think obviously to me he makes the team, but not at center. I think they're going to move him back to guard with Trey Zuhn being practicing at center. Hopefully we see a lot of Trey Zuhn this game tomorrow night. Now you mentioned something that I haven't really read up and looked into yet. I didn't know they're not going to play Fernando this game.
That's kind of the rumor. That's what I've seen online. I don't, obviously Kubiak's not going to come out and say what their plan is, but I mean, obviously, he's going to make the team. He's going to be around and Kirk is going to be the starter. So at this point, what do you have to really gain by running him out there and risking any kind of injury?
Yeah, that's a little tough for me because I think for him, it's all about the reps.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid is so smart. It's just the reps. Yep. So for me, the 2 centers is Lindenbaum and Zuhn. But the problem is with Zuhn is he should be on every one of these spots. Because I think he's the reason why you can end up not keeping so many offensive linemen. Is it 8 guys? Is it 10 guys? So we obviously know Colton Miller's still good. He can play. DJ Glaze is obviously going to play that right spot from the looks of it. Doesn't look like Zuhn won that spot. And then you've got Charles Grant. He's a stud. You've got, I think, Burford. To me, he's going to solidify. He looked better than I thought. So I think he's going to solidify that spot. Now at right guard, you've got 2 guys competing, which I think both guys make the team, obviously. Yep. JPJ is one of those guys that if the Raiders wanted a wide receiver or wanted a defensive lineman type piece and Caleb Rogers is their future and they know he's that dude, then maybe we see JPJ getting traded in a package deal out of there. Would it suck? Yeah, but it seems like the last couple coaching staffs, I should say, it hasn't meshed well with him. So I'm not too sure. He reminds me of Richie Incognito type player, which I love. But so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've got 9 guys right now that are, I mean, that you look at that right now, and that to me is a lock right there. I did see some people like Dalton Wagner, but if you've got If you got Zuhn that can play tackle, you got DJ Glaze, you got Charles Grant. I mean, so you've got 4 guys already with Zuhn being there.
Yeah. The only thing I'll for sure disagree with you on is Meredith. Like, I'm done watching Meredith try to play football for the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't think he's good enough, not tough enough, too many mistakes, too many penalties. Like, nah. I would take him out and I would put Mafe in there. I like him. He can play backup guard. And then worst case scenario, Linderbaum or Miller or Glaze or any of them guys gets hurt, then I think you're sliding Zahn into that spot. And if something even worse happens, and, Miller's long in the tooth, if something happens, Miller gets hurt, twists an ankle, Lindenbaum gets the flu and can't play or something, then Zahn's sliding into center, and, you're bumping Rodgers out to left tackle. So, I mean, I don't see a scenario where Jordan Meredith gets in the game in front of Zahn, regardless of who's missing from the lineup.
Zuhn, Zuhn, yeah.
Or Zuhn, yeah. Either way, get Putnam and Meredith out of my life. I don't want to see him on my TV screen anymore. I've seen enough.
Listen. I will applaud the Raiders if they do get rid of Meredith, but this is just me for my prediction of what I think they're, because they just keep playing him, and it's like, damn, dude, like, come on. I'm with you on that. I would rather see one of these other guys play than him. So I'd rather see Will Putnam play. And that's saying something.
Yeah, that's not good.
All right, let's jump over to the defense and keep this bad boy moving. My favorite spot, the linebacking core. Now, man, I got to tell you something. I love our linebackers this year, except for one part. That's it. That's all I like. I like, seriously, Dean, the Georgia guys. Yeah, these guys, these Georgia Bulldogs, man, that's it. That's all I care. They better never, nothing ever better happen to them. But for the sake,
just a little bit ago, like an hour ago, I was watching some highlights of Quay Walker, and I love his attitude, his edge. Like, he's getting, like, okay, penalties aren't good, but I don't mind a good, solid personal foul once in a while, and Walker's good for one when the time calls for it. So, the Raiders, if you're going to play defense, specifically linebacker or edge rusher for the Raiders, you better have a little bit of chippiness, a little bit of edge to you, and Quay Walker's got that in spades. So he's perfect for our Raiders.
Yeah, and I mean, Tommy here, Eichenberg, he's just, I want to come back to this because this is my baby right here, the linebackers. But right now I'm sitting on these two guys. Brendan Jackson showed me a lot this preseason until he went on IR. I thought he was one of the guys that I had written down on there. I had him and even Sori, 53, and there was another guy who was a defensive lineman. I'll get to him in a second, but Brendan Jackson, who normally I cut, he's like one of the first guys I cut on Madden. But he played good for me in the Cardinals game, so I had him written down in my notes for that. So, but let's go into the corners. You obviously got TJ over here, who looked, I mean, better than advertised. I don't know what was going on with that whole mess of holdout back in the camp or back when was it? That was in like OTAs or something like that.
Yep.
But I don't care. Mastis is obviously making the team. McCoy's going to be there. Stokes is our starting guy. So this is where it gets kind of weird for me, because how many are we keeping? It's like the wide receiver spot. How many are we keeping? How many are good? Because I like Greedy Vance over Porter, but Porter has shown flashes here and there, and now I just want to see him bring it all together, make it complete. So I will throw Porter on there. Let me check my thing real quick. Yeah. So out of my top 5 toughest cuts is actually Richardson. I've got Richardson getting cut. Now, some people may be like, well, I could see that, but I haven't seen enough of him improving to keep him on this team.
Agreed.
And if you got five guys, let's say you keep a sixth dude here, my sixth dude out of this bunch here is going to be Greedy Vance. I mean, Greedy Vance has shown way too much progress.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like tackle, like especially tackling. Like, I love it. You know me, I love dudes that can tackle. And I like that old, like I mentioned it in a podcast before, I like the Nnamdi Asomugha type style guys that just love to come up and they catch you. They do it easy. They don't have to come up and make a big wrap up tackle. You catch the ball in the flat and they're going to take your legs out from underneath you. And there you go. Tackle done. Now on to the next play. Yep. They save themselves from getting hurt. They protect themselves from getting hurt. They protect, and the ball carrier goes down.
And, a big part of the reason why, so going back to our earlier conversation about Aidan O'Connell, that's kind of why I let him roll, because I want to keep Greedy Vance. And I agreed Decamerion Richardson, letting him go is probably the hardest cut. But yeah, I want to keep 6 of these cornerbacks. And, when it comes down to like special teams gunner on punt team, I think Greedy Vance is going to be able to do that better than Decamerion Richardson. So maybe somebody disagrees with me on that, but it just looks like he's going to be better at that. He's the more physical player, and like you said, the better tackler.
And Caleb offered, however you say his name. I had him written down a few times too. I kind of like him. He's a rookie. Hopefully we'll be able to stash him on the practice squad.
Yep.
And let's just change his number and change his whole name. Throw him on the throw him on the practice squad, and nobody will ever find him. Like, just
for sure.
Like, and then see what happens. So
yeah.
So I liked him. But all right, so safety. This is we got Chin. Obviously, he's going to be there. Gosh, Stukes. I'm hoping they came out with their roster or their depth chart for this game, and it still had your boy Palamau on there as the starter, even though I heard all week long, that Stukes was the starter in this whole week almost, in almost every practice. I don't know about today, but in almost every practice, Stukes was getting first team reps, which I love to hear because it's time for that. I mean, I know he's a rookie, and look, it even says he's a starter, but I want to see that second round talent come to life.
Yeah. Now, and dude, he's the true free safety. You watch his tape in college and he's all over the field making plays. And that's what you got to have from your free safety spots. So, I think Palamau, he's a box safety. He's just not as good as Chin. So he should be Chin's backup. Like, that makes sense. And he'll contribute a lot on kickoff coverage team and punt team. So, that all makes sense to me. I guess, I'll let you keep going though, because there's one other safety here I want to talk about, and that's the reason I cut Aidan O'Connell.
Okay, so here's my 2 other guys that I would have back up, and I don't care if it's a box or not box. This is purely off of talent alone, and what I've seen, and what I've liked, and what I've written down in my notes. And I want Stukes' teammate Dalton Johnson, to make the team, and I want Tristan McCullum. And I've not been a fan of Tristan in the past. He's been like one of those guys where I'm like, why do they keep signing him back on this team? But this preseason has shown me a lot of growth too in going into his year 3. So, this is year 3 for him. So going into year 3, he's shown a lot of growth. And for me, that's huge. Like, I got to see growth from one year to the next. So go ahead.
Yep. No, you totally stole my thunder. I was going to say McCollum, he needs to make the team. He's played too well to cut him at this point. And Palamau, you don't have him highlighted there, but I mean, I would keep 5 safeties. And in this defense, where they're going to run multiple fronts and multiple different coverages, and there's times where Chin is going to line up on the line of scrimmage, and then he's going to be the deep third safety, play in the middle of the field. I mean, they're going to do all kinds of things like that. So the more guys you can rotate in and out of there, as long as their communication is up to par and good, then I mean, you can play all these guys and they can all contribute in both phases of the game, whether it's defense or special teams.
All right, so now we're going to get into some hard areas here. Okay. But first, let's dive down to the special teams because this is pretty much an easy pick right now. You got the punt god right here,
Yep.
AJ Cole. Obviously, I don't think the rookie, the Tokyo Toes, making the team. Matt Gay's is the guy, unfortunately. That's who we're going with, and I believe Ward is that dude. So the long snapper. So there's our three guys for that core special teams group. So I think these two guys get cut. Now, all right, let's go up. There's nothing really to talk about there. I mean, I was hoping they would sign Carlson, but Saints jumped in real quick. They were like, "Oh shit, Raiders need him back. We better get him before he goes somewhere else." So, what do you want to talk? Defensive end or defensive tackle first?
Let's go defensive end because D tackle is going to be a longer conversation, I think, because there's more variables there.
Okay, well, my big one for here is defensive end. So you got Max Crosby, you got Kwity Paye, and then you've got Crawford. And this is where mine takes a turn because I'm keeping Sloan, and I like Patrick Johnson. Patrick Johnson showed me a lot this preseason in what he's able to do. I think my number one player that's either going to A, get cut, or B, get traded, and I would probably see a trade, and I don't know the money situation, I don't really care, is Malcolm Koonce. I don't think he's shown enough now going into year 6 to really say he's going to be the dude opposite of Max Crosby. And I think that's why they brought in Kwity Paye. And I think that's why they went out and got a guy, drafted Crawford. And I think the emergence of a guy like Sloan, who's basically you put him side by side with Max. He's basically a clone of Max if you watch his tape from this last game. And then Patrick Johnson seems like he's all over the place all the time, in my opinion. So this is my board when it comes to defensive ends. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with anything you said. I think Patrick Johnson's played a really nice preseason. Just here's my issue, though. Max is one of the best players in the league, and he never comes off the field. He plays 99.99% of the snaps. So assuming that knee is 100% healthy and he is as motivated as he says he is, I don't think you need to carry 5 defensive ends, especially not when you're talking about the way Rob Leonard wants to run this defense. Some of these D tackles, Booker specifically, are going to be able to bump out and play D end if they had to, if there was some kind of catastrophic injury during a game or something like that. So my roster looks more like it's Max and Paye. And then I'm keeping Koonce because I'm still a believer in his talent. I'm still going off of the last handful of games from 2023 because, like I've said in previous pods, I think he started to come back to the 2023 version towards the end of last year. So I'm still expecting some big things from Koonce. And then obviously we're keeping Crawford. So I'm just keeping those 4 guys. And I like Sloan. I think he's the guy you can stash on the practice squad because he's a UDFA. But again, maybe we're jumping the gun here a little bit. Let's see how he plays because he's certainly going to get a lot of run in this 3rd preseason game. If he flashes and has a couple sacks or is disruptive and comes up with a turnover or something like that, then maybe that sways me a little bit. But at this point, I think you try to stash him on the practice squad and let him grow another season.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if we have. You mentioned something that's really funny. You mentioned something really, really funny right there.
Well, I believe that because I'm hilarious.
You said, and this is what's crazy about this situation with Malcolm Koonce. You just said 2023. We're in 2026, and you want to bring up,
2024. My bad.
Okay, I was going to say that's a long time. That was
the year that Antonio Pierce took over. I can't keep all my seasons together.
We'll be like this, like, hey, man, we're still waiting on Malcolm Koonce to come through and be that guy opposite of Max Crosby.
I just thought last year at the beginning of the season, he didn't look right. Like his whole game, and it's my favorite kind of edge rusher, is a speed guy that gets to the corner, dips a shoulder pad, and then comes in on the quarterback. And Malcolm just didn't look like he had the confidence to turn the corner. And towards the end of last season, we saw that a couple times. I thought, yeah, okay, he's getting it figured out. He's got confidence back in his knees. So, I'm not ready to give up on the guy because I still think he can be a force, especially in third and long situations opposite Max.
Yeah.
So I could be wrong, but at this point, I wouldn't let him walk yet.
Okay, so we've got 7, it looks like, 7 spots. If my math is correct, we've got 7 spots to handle the D tackle position and the backup linebackers. So, with that being said, and one thing I just wanted to point out before we move on before the defensive end position, you mentioned about people bumping around in this new scheme and stuff like that. Excuse me. Let's say it's 3rd and 10, 3rd and long, like we want it to be. You're breaking out that NASCAR package. That's going to be the key thing too. You've got Max on the outside. You've got, you've got Max on the outside. You got Crawford on the outside. You're probably going to have Kwity Paye at D end. And then if you're running that 4-3, if you're running that 3-4 and you want to go, you could actually put Kwity Paye and you could put Johnson at that D ends. And then the outside linebackers could be somebody like Crawford, opposite of Max Crosby, and then just have your traditional nose tackle in there in a NASCAR style type package if you're bringing the heat like that. So there's that. That's why I went with this many defensive ends, and that's why I really pick these kind of guys, because like Crawford stands up, Max Crosby stands up, Paye can go down and stand up. Patrick Johnson showed it too in the preseason games as well. So that's why I kind of went with them as well. But okay, so defensive tackle, let's dive into that. So obviously for us, I'm pretty sure we're going to be on the same page for some of these. I think Booker, Tonka Trunk, your guy Adam Butler, Jonah. So there's your 4 right there. My 5th guy, okay, so I've got 5 guys here because I've got the other 2 guys are going to be linebackers for me. I think that you're only going to keep these 4. Now, this obviously comes down to whether or not they go out and bring a guy in, okay? If they bring a dude in, then it changes, like you said, Aidan O'Connell and stuff like that. So these are the 4 I got. I like newly acquired, I can't even say his name, number 63.
Nope. Yep. Houston guy.
I like,
Lakoski?
Yeah, I can't even say that name.
Fatukasi.
Fatukasi. Okay,
Yep.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm with you on that.
A lot of people, and I was a big JJ Pegues. I was a big fan of his last year. I thought there was a lot there. It looks like he might still be that dude. I just haven't seen enough jump from last year to this year to really say, okay, that's it. But 63 came in and went to work right away in the games and was making plays happen. So I liked him. These are my JJ is my other guy on my list. It's Malcolm Koonce 1, JJ 2, and then the receivers. And who else did I have? Decamerion. God, I can never say his name. Richardson. Jeez, the corner. Sorry, guys. So JJ was the other guy that I had. Those were my top 5 guys that I had that were going to be cuts.
And what I would do, I would keep JJ. I would keep 6 defensive tackles, and I would let Richardson walk. And this is why. JJ is, for being such a big dude, he is very athletic and explosive. So him and Booker can play multiple positions on the front. When you're talking about that NASCAR package, number 1, that's also why I'm keeping 5 safeties, because McCollum can be a back end guy. And then Chin and Palomau and Stokes, they can blitz just like an inside or an outside linebacker or the nickelback coming off of a corner. So I think the Raiders keep 6 D tackles. But that situation could change a lot if they bring in another guy or they make some kind of trade or there's some kind of surprise cut. So if you've got one guy who's your stud nose tackle, then I think you can move off of keeping 6 D tackles. But at this point, I'm keeping 6.
So that brings us back to the linebackers. I took JJ off because I didn't want JJ on there. Not that I don't want him on the team. I'm just saying I don't think he's going to make it. This is my projections. The Clueless Sports Dad. That's why it's called the Clueless Sports Dad. So we need 2 extra linebackers. I think they're going to end up keeping Tommy and Cody. I think that's just how it's going to end up rolling, and everybody else is either going to get cut or stashed on the practice squad. There's nobody else here that really. You got Jackson's on the IR, so nobody else here has really shown me enough.
So that's where I will differ as well. So Eichenberg and Lindenberg, to me, are pretty much the same guy. Like, they kind of do the same things. For me, Dean and Walker are obviously the starters. And then I don't see a situation where Eichenberg is going to play over Lindenberg. So I would keep Lindenberg as the sub in case one of them, Dean or Walker, can't play. And what's this other guy's name? Olubi?
Yeah.
I like him for special teams. Like, I feel like that's why the Raiders brought him in. He's a good tackler, solid hitter. He's a fast dude. When you watch kick and punt return teams, or coverage teams, he's one of the first guys down there making the play every time. So I feel like they're going to keep him for the special teams. And, if they don't keep 6 D tackles and they keep Eichenberg, then, I wouldn't be mad about that. That makes sense.
So you're thinking that they're going to cut Eichenberg over Lindenberg?
Yep. Also, you'd have to double check me on this, but I'm pretty sure Eichenberg has been in the league 1 year longer than Lindenberg.
Oh, it says right here. Yeah. Eichenberg's third year, and
right.
Cody's Lindenberg's been in 2.
You've got him under contract longer for cheaper. So, when you start getting down to the nuts and bolts of it, stuff like that has got to be factored in. So, another part of the reason why, again, going back to Aidan O'Connell's contract, 3.7 off the books that's a thing. It's got to be factored in.
Yeah, absolutely. So there it is, guys. That is our show for tonight before the 49ers and Raiders kick it off tomorrow evening for the last preseason game. We're going to find out shortly who we got wrong and who we got right, and see how it is. Let us know who you think was the toughest cut in your opinion and who you might cut over what we put on ours. Drop it in the comments, subscribe, let us know, share us everywhere. Thanks for coming in, everybody. Thanks, Greg.
Later.